support an individual that is aspiring, definitely you can have those appointments. That's where we are encouraging people. And as you can know, that one of our colleagues, our Director of Socials and Empowerment, Tonto Dike, is equally the Deputy Governorship candidate for SDP in Rivers State. And we have some of our colleagues in Osun State who are equally aspiring for State House, Federal House, as some of our colleagues. And we are encouraging young people.
Does that still make you apolitical?
Yeah, it's not even being apolitical. It's not about maybe you cannot participate. Even people that are still working, even in government, some still have their right to even belong to political parties. It's only belonging to parties or equally encouraging people to belong to parties that you can come into governance and to correct things.
Festus Okoye, National Commissioner and Chairman, Information and Voter Education Committee of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, once said, "The youth will play a key role in the politics of 2023 if they do the needful. If you are looking for the complete registration, you will see that we have, as of today, 9.1 million, out of which the youth between the ages of 18 to 34 years constitute 3.5 million. The youth between the ages of 18 to 34 constitute over 70%. All right, our second quote is from Cynthia Mbamalu. She is the Director of Programs at Yaga Africa. She once said, "The young millennials don't vote. The youth cannot transform their numerical strength if they don't come out to vote. You must vote wisely and make better decisions this time around." Absolutely spot on. Our next quote is from Nikki Reed, an American actress known for her portrayal of vampire Rosalie Hale in the Twilight Saga. She once said, "Young people need to vote. They need to get out there. Every vote counts. Educate yourselves too. Don't just vote. Know what you're voting for and stand by that." I agree. Our last quote is from Sir Winston Leonard Spencer Churchill, a British statesman, soldier, and writer who served as the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom from 1940 to 1945 during the Second World War, and again from 1951 to 1955. He once said, "Never turn your back on a threatened danger and try to run away from it. If you do that, you will double the danger. But if you meet it promptly and without flinching, you will reduce the danger by half. Never run away from anything. Never." Okay, let's see how all of this could relate to what we'll be discussing tonight. Very warm greetings and welcome to The Conversation. We're reaching you from KAFTAN's television studio here in the nation's capital, Abuja. I am Annabelle Oji. Now tonight we will be chatting with Captain Ambassador Suleiman Dabas, Ambassador General, Polling Unit Ambassadors of Nigeria, PUAN, and also Kelechi Ugwumba, who is the Director of Contact and Mobilization at the Committee of Youth on Mobilization and Sensitization, the CYMS, on youth mobilization and participation in the forthcoming elections in the electioneering process in Nigeria. We'll get to find out how engaging the youth are outside what we see on social media and on the internet, to know if we are fully ready to go all out on 2023 elections. That's after this time out. Do join us again. Welcome back. If you just joined us, this is The Conversation. We're reaching you from KAFTAN's television studio here in the nation's capital, Abuja. Tonight, we will be talking to Kelechi Ugwumba. He is the Director of Contact and Mobilization at the Committee of Youth and Mobilization, Youth for Mobilization and Sensitization. And we'll be talking about youth participation in politics and the electioneering process. You're welcome to the show. Thank
you very much.
Great to have you. All right, now let's start by getting up close and personal with you and your organization, CYMS. Yeah. Very briefly, tell us, what exactly do you do in CYMS?
Yeah, CYMS is an organization that equally promotes the policies of government, trying to bring the Nigerian youths and the populace closer to what the government is doing. You know, there's the general belief of most of the youth bodies trying to say that they are apolitical. So whenever there is any government, they tend to withdraw themselves from government because maybe the alliance with the government might, to the organization, seem to be that they are equally working for the government. But that's why Committee of Youth on Mobilization and Sensitization came on board to bridge that gap between the government and the youth and the populace.
So are you apolitical?
Definitely we are.
Okay.
But definitely we work with the government in power.
Any government
in power, so that we bridge the gap, equally sensitizing the Nigerian populace about the policies and programs of government so that they can cue in and equally leverage on it because they are Nigerians and the government is for Nigerians.
So do you have a particular group or candidate that you're supporting?
Now we are assessing the candidates, you know, trying to know what policy, because the campaign has not started. So whatever we say now and all those things could equally be against the policies, you know, some of INEC. But we're equally assessing the parties, the candidates now, to equally know whoever that definitely my organization will equally back and support.
Oh, really? So if you have a particular candidate that you back and support, what do? You tell the youth, Nigerian youth, to please push your weight.
No, based on the policies, you know, that is laid out, you understand? Because definitely we don't base on rhetorics, because a lot of things have been said. We believe that Nigeria's solution has always been in the archives. People have equally profiled solutions, but in implementing it, that's the problem. But based on antecedents of people that are coming out, definitely we can equally enlighten the people based on the antecedents. We might not even go all out to even tell them on who and who. But when we now create avenue whereby even we bring those candidates on board so that they will now speak and even sell themselves to the Nigerian populace and the Nigerian youth. Based on that, definitely we are equally contributing, you know, to whoever that will emerge, you know, to be the next leader in Nigeria.
All right, now, so tell us, I'm sure that you must have had a lot of interaction with the youth, the Nigerian youth, and which is actually the demography I'm sure that you are representing. Now, tell us, do you actually see the enthusiasm in this youth, or does it actually end with what people see in the media, or especially in social media, where you have more and more people getting involved in electoral processes, or they just stay on social media and keep whining?
Yeah, the youth that we represent is holistic. It's not about a sectional youth, because there are youths in every sector. Even in this television station, a lot of youths, you know, work here. Even in the security personnel we have in the country, a lot of youths. Even in agricultural, a lot of farmers, there are youths there performing. So if you judge Nigerian youths by what you see on the social media, it might be an injustice, because there are a lot of people who are equally queuing in to equally better their lives and equally doing things to equally improve themselves and improve what we have in the society. But most times when you look at what transverses on the social media, you'll be discouraged about, even when the president may mention about Nigerian youth being lazy, you know. Most of the things you see, things that shouldn't even be happening, very frivolous things, that's the things that equally make headlines on Nigerian social media. So, but the youths of Nigeria, the real youths, the intelligent and intellectual youths of Nigeria.
You have fake youth in Nigeria?
Yeah, the real youth, when I say the real youths, you know, there are a lot of people, like I myself, I consider myself as a youth leader. You know, that's why in our organization, we do things to impact on the lives of the younger ones, to bring them on board, for them to queue in and benefit from every policy and programs the government is having on board.
So what's the difference between a youth leader and the youth?
Then the youth leader is somebody that has passed through, that stage of being a youth.
So the age?
Yes, the age of being a youth. We've passed through that, and the challenges, of the youth. Why things even happen in Nigeria and people equally hold on to power, like when you say maybe the elderly ones are not relinquishing power, is because of opportunities. Maybe they did not have that opportunity when they were even young to even come on board to implement their ideas. So you will see that quest and the yearning and the zeal will still be in them to equally look for opportunity, to equally relinquish those things, something that is innate in them that they have to the younger ones. So that's why you see even this issue of maybe they say that the older ones are equally blocking the chances of the younger ones. Because when you see the young ones now still agitating, by the time maybe their visions are not met, and they pass that age, something of being a youth, they will still be in that category, still struggling with the upcoming ones. And that has been the problem in Nigeria.
And then you just keep hearing that the youth are the future leaders of tomorrow. We've been hearing that for like decades and in fact centuries. But then still the older generation are still the ones that have been there. And then you talked about the statement made by President that the youth are lazy, even though they later came out to do some panel beating to the statement. So you keep hearing statements like this from leaders, from people who are supposed to be in the helm of affairs. You keep hearing statements that, and at the end of the day, they'll tell you that this same politicians, they have their way of reconciling their differences in weddings, in parties, dinners. But then you have this youth who are supporting them, always come together to have some kind of clashes against themselves. How are you, your organization, able to stem that tide?
Yeah, like from what you said about the youth being the leaders of tomorrow, I still believe that the youth are equally the leaders of today, because when you see what has transversed even in the past in Nigerian leadership, is the young people that have been ruling. When you look at the ages that even people like Chief Olusegun Obasanjo, even the military era, when they started leading this country, even our present president, President Muhammadu Buhari, when he led in 1983, if you compare his age then, he was a youth then. Then when you now look at people in 1999, people like Dr. Joseph Kano, Dr. Joseph was 39 years when he was the governor of Abia State. Even the present Minister of Transport today, Rotimi Amechi, the one that equally resigned because of his presidential ambition, was 33 years when he was the Speaker of Rivers State House of Assembly. And he was young when he led Rivers State as governor of Rivers State. You now see that the youth has been in power all these years. But what is the problem now is that the younger ones, instead of them to equally be active, participatory in what is happening, even in politics, you see them beating about the bush, maybe confusing themselves through the social media. And that's why our organization has come out to even encourage the younger ones, to let them, it's not about even the presidency, the other positions that are there for the younger ones to occupy. If you do not have the wherewithal to even aspire for the presidency of this country, the other position from the local government to the state house to House of Assembly, the other positions, and even positions of appointments, than when you support a political party or support an individual that is aspiring, definitely you can have those appointments. That's where we are encouraging people. And as you can know, that one of our colleagues, our Director of Socials and Empowerment, Tonto Dike, is equally the deputy governorship candidate for SDP in Rivers State. And we have some of our colleagues in Osun State who are equally aspiring for State House, Federal House, and some of our colleagues. And we are encouraging young people. Does
that still make you apolitical?
Yeah, it's not even being apolitical. It's not about maybe you cannot participate. Even people that are still working, even in government, some may still have their right to even belong to political parties. It's only belonging to parties or equally encouraging people to belong to parties that you can come into governance and to correct things. But we cannot say, okay, do not go here, do not go here. Then maybe you should belong to one particular political party. That's why you are now being partisan. That's why you are not being partisan. But when you encourage people to equally indulge in political processes, aspire for positions, definitely that's the way Nigeria will equally be better in the future.
Okay, so now here you talk about some other positions that are actually existing, but now let's talk about that now. Elections actually go way beyond the crowds that you see coming out to register for PVCs. It go way beyond the campaigns and all. So now what and how is your organization properly mobilizing and educating the youth, even down to the ward level, that about their rights and their duties, and also with regard to the PVC drive, and then rallying around a particular political party or candidate, and making them understand that they should come out en masse to put their thumb where their mouth is, and then vote the right persons who, and not just voting the right persons, but also monitor these votes even last down to the feet. So because now you have a lot of people saying that you cannot take away the fact that some people still believe that election is a sheer waste of time. Let's start with that. How are you mobilizing people with the PVC drive? Go out, get your PVCs. Don't only go out, get your PVCs or use your PVCs for registration of accounts and all. What do you do? How do you educate them down to the last level?
Yeah, our organization, we have structures across board. We have our state coordinators, we have even our local government coordinators and ward coordinators. And when the issue of PVC registration was ongoing, we equally led a campaign through social media, through other print media, for people to see that this is their right for them to acquire their PVC and equally vote for the candidate of their choice. And we are doing all these things through all our channels, all our structures. And now that the election is coming on board, that's when we now talk particularly on this. And we have equally made even efforts. We have written to the Nigerian police to partner with them on violent-free elections. And those are the things we want, because we want in a station whereby we go zonal to sensitize people on why they should come out, on why they should be submissive and not equally be violent during elections. We have equally met with the Economic and Financial Crime Commission, and they are partnering with the organization on vote buying to equally monitor vote buying.
So are you saying that 2023 elections, we are trusting on CYMS that there will be no vote inducement?
We are kicking against that, and we make sure, because EFCC, they do not have the personnel. That's why they need the organization that have the structures, so that we will be reporting. Even the chairman even told us that we should have more volunteers that can be reporting wherever something is happening. They will report feedback so that they will now move in. So these are the things, because definitely vote buying is just like a cankerworm that is coming to equally destroy this country. A lot of people, even when EFC, because we made them to understand that even when you said you are fighting corruption, if you do not curtail this, definitely you have a more, corruption to even fight, because a lot of people that want to aspire for positions, we want to steal more because of the vote buying, because they know that they have to buy their way. And people that are even in their private practice that made money, that bought their way to office, will equally want to steal to recoup what they spent during the process of the vote buying. So that's why we are kicking against it. And CYMS, in partnership with EFCC, will monitor and make sure that vote buying is curbed and equally nipped to the bud.
We'll definitely get back to that before we end the program. Now let's touch on some of these positions. A lot of people, especially the youth, are all they're all geared up. You see the energy, the vibe that they put towards presidential candidates, and then, like you stated, that there are other positions. There's the governorship position, the House of Reps member, or the National Assembly members. And you should be interested in who you elect or who you put in to actually legislate decisions for you. That you should actually be interested in that, and also be interested in who should be your local government chairman or councillor. But you have some people, all of the whole vibe is always with regards to presidential candidates. So speak to us on the importance of not looking outside all of these other positions, how important are they aside the presidential candidates?
Yeah, in Nigeria, like people talk about restructuring. The president cannot restructure a nation. It's the people that make the laws that govern the nation that can restructure. They can start making laws that will equally put things right in the country. Most of our activities, I've equally been an advocate of people looking more into people that legislate than even looking at the executives. Because it's there that you make laws. It is even the people that legislate that will even be like a watchdog to the executives for them not to deviate from what is going on. So that's even the most important. People are now talking about presidency. The fight is about the political parties that are equally, or candidates that are vying for the president of the nation. Nobody is even keen and interested of who are going to be in the National Assembly or state assemblies to make laws. That's the problem. These are the places that are very, very important. The president cannot legislate. The president of a nation, his own duty is just even about the foreign policies and things he's supposed to be. That's why even when you see how this President Muhammadu Buhari, has even led this country, he doesn't equally mingle in state affairs because he believes that there are state governors who are supposed to equally lead their states with their state House of Assemblies. He doesn't equally mingle. He allows them for them to even take decisions on their own and concentrate on his maybe negotiations with foreign nations, for the interests of Nigeria. And that's how governance should be. We shouldn't equally be concentrating on president. We should equally be concentrating on who leads our states and who are the legislators that are equally leading and taking decisions and making laws in that state. That's how it is. Even in the American system, I even tell people that because of there are some establishments that equally sponsor people that are even in the legislative arm of all those states. That's why most times you see in America, they'll say somebody went to a school, maybe shoot, students and all those things. And you see that there are no serious things, laws that even the legislative arm of United States are making to curb even gun running and gun policy. Because most of the establishments that manufacture guns are the people that even sponsor these people. So those are the things. If such parties is allowed here and all those, you see that those are the places that you will even need interest to see people that equally make laws for us. Because if you put somebody that will now go and equally tell you that, okay, tomorrow they are going to maybe allow a free sale of maybe India hemp, or they equally allow everybody to hold gun and all those things. Definitely is what you elect. It's their decision, and they have made it, and it's binding on us. Right. So that's why we should equally put importance on the people that we elect as legislators, and not only concentrated on the executives.
All right, so according to the National Commissioner of INEC, Festus Okoye, he was quoted as saying that if you are looking for complete registration, okay, let me take the quote. He says, if you're looking for the complete registration, 9.1 million people out of which the youth between the ages of 18 to 34 years constitute 3.5 million. The youth between the ages of 18 to 34 constitute over 70%. Are these figures satisfactory enough for you?
So the only thing is, one thing that even this 2023 election, one thing or one good aspect that to me I see is even the awareness on the voter registration. And if you look at the turnout, the time INEC extended, if you see the turnout, you now see that definitely we have a problem in this country. And it's not even like only the youths. If you see the one that they did in Old Parade Ground, if you see the cars, the fleet of cars, people that have not even deemed fit to have even voter registration to effect change in this country, you see this is a problem. And one thing I will equally encourage INEC is that voter registration should be supposed to be a continuous thing. It's not supposed to be maybe when there will be an election, you open up the process for people to register. People are turning up 18, every year, and it should be a continuous process that they can walk up to their local government office and register whenever they turn up to that age. So that definitely this rush, you know, and disenfranchisement and all those things will not even happen. From what they said, definitely, even if the indices or the statistics is 10%, you know, and the youth is maybe 7%, you know, I will not still be discouraged. I will be encouraged because the youth are always high in number. If it's 100 that they could register and the youth are 70, definitely it's equally an encouraging thing. But that, I know that definitely there's more for improvement, and there's many young people that have not even registered for this exercise.
Now we see the vibe, the energy that comes in with this election and this registration of voters, especially from the youth. They are all ready to get their PVCs. So how is your organization harnessing the anger, the electrifying energy, resilience of today's youth straight to the ballot come February 25th and March 11th, 2023, and get them to vote wisely? Because it's actually not enough to massively turn out for PVCs, like I said, or PVC registration, or keep whining via social media, especially the uninformed voters who argue based on religion, ethnicity, or across party lines.
No, we can only try. We can only try, because when you see the vibe and the energy being exhibited, most of the statistics people take is equally what they saw, you know, some of what they see on social media. And when you look, taking your statistics on social media, you might not equally have the right, you know, result or the right figures.
So you're saying that energy you see on social media is not replicated?
Yeah, the energy on social media, let me tell you, once there's an election period, you know, definitely you see that agitation is normal. You know, when you have maybe a party in government and you have like more than 10 or 20 oppositions, you know, these people recruit even people among the social media, you know, influencers to equally pull down the government or to make maybe the government in power look bad. So that's diffuse. You see, social media people, most of all those people, they are equally paid to equally say things or even propagate to pull the government down. But in real figures and all those things, yes, the agitation for change is there. You know, when you look at even the turnout of voter registration exercise and all those things, you now see that one thing that 2023 will equally bring to Nigeria and Nigerians is that whatever happens, whoever emerges, you know, definitely that awareness has been there. And whoever emerges will never take Nigerians for granted, because they will know that the Nigerians, most of the Nigerians have reawakened, you know, to realities of life, and they will not take things for granted again.
All right, so we have a few minutes to spend, but I'd like to ask two questions and I'd like you to quickly take them forth. First is, now considering the crop of candidates that have emerged through the respective political parties' primaries across board, whether be it presidential candidates, the member of the National Assembly, governorship, or at the state ward level, a lot of people are still of the belief that they are still one and the same thing, like more of half, 6 and half a dozen, or some people will say tomato. What is the difference? Same difference. So why exactly is it important to mobilize the Nigerian youth to get them involved and interested in 2023 elections? What exactly will pull out a Nigerian youth massively to the polling stations?
Yeah, what I believe we equally put is that's hunger. You know, some hunger for good governance. And when you look at even some of the elections that have taken place, you know, the by-elections, you now see that a lot of people now are not equally voting political party. They are voting individuals, people that they believe that can deliver. And that's how it's supposed to be. So we, as an organization, will continue to equally educate the masses, the youths, on good governance, for them to choose rightly. Because definitely, like I told you, Nigeria's problem have been solved, you know, you know, and their solutions are in the archives. People have profile solutions when they talk sweet and you applaud them, but when they get there,
they're always an activist before they get to
the reverse is the
stations.
case, definitely. It's just for the people, and we cannot get it, rightly at a time. It's a gradual process, and it's whatever the society throws up is what even you see in government. Because when people talk about government, everybody is the government. We are the government. If we equally behave ourselves, as Nigerian people and Nigerian masses and all those things, and equally try to change, from our own lifestyle and all those things, definitely those are the things that will equally transpire, in leadership. So that's why the agitation, you see everybody is clamoring for good governance, change and all those things. I hope, the vibe will continue so that we can equally, because when everybody wants that and they're willing to change on their own, definitely we still get good people in governance.
All right, finally, now, because you talked about hunger, and I always like to ask this question. In a country where poverty is prevalent and it has actually been weaponized, and in fact, election or electioneering process have been monetized, how do you conscientize or sensitize the average Nigerian youth who doesn't know where the next meal is coming from? He doesn't have nothing in his pocket. How do you actually, and in fact, he grew up having that mentality that anything that comes from the government or politicians should be seen as national cake. So just go there and have your piece of the pie and move on. How do you conscientize such people and make them understand that you must not mortgage your future and the future of your generation for a piece of porridge through voter inducements?
Yeah, definitely. No, that's a difficult one. Like what you said, there's hunger in the land. You can only tell them, you can only sensitize them, but you do not hold, maybe their actions, what they equally end up doing. But what we tell them is that definitely, if people are offering you, money and all those things, look at your conscience, vote for your conscience. And two, definitely, like the woman that rejected 5,000 naira inducement in Anambra State, she made headline, and I believe that a lot of people have rewarded her, for that singular act. And those are the things, we even encourage the media or people to even promote, so that people will equally see such people as role models and equally want to, toe their line. Because whenever you tell people don't collect, all about vote buying, definitely, these are the things we equally see on the field. Because most times our organization are equally into election monitoring. And most times, wherever you go, in the past, and you see that there's orderliness, definitely go behind, you see that there's something happening there. Because definitely there will be a settlement behind. Then you now see people come queue being quiet. But where you see there was rowdiness, people shouting, that definitely nothing, maybe they are not agreeing on all those things. So these are the things. We are equally trying to educate Nigerians, and the Nigerian youths, for them that this country is ours. Whatever, you can't collect 5,000 and equally vote, because of the money. But you can collect the money and equally still vote your conscience.
So you are accepting collect the money but vote your conscience?
Vote your conscience.
Okay.
Because you cannot, there are certain things you cannot say don't collect. That's where you equally, be at war.
But do you understand that some people even threaten people when they give them this money and ensure that I must see who you voted for?
Definitely, but that's why even the observers are there, because whatever happens, even if this inducement might not even be, they might even be at the house, they will just come there. But what we do, and we make sure that there's orderliness and there's nobody that will be there to equally tell people or be directing people on where they should cast their votes. That's why we have all the security personnel and the observers that equally monitor election to make sure that there's orderliness and people feel free. Whatever transpired, promises, somebody can say come because his or her is voting alone on the cubicle that nobody is seeing who is which party the person is voting for. And that's our own concern.
Right. Thank you so much, Kelechi Ugwumba, Director, Contact and Mobilization at the Committee on Youth and on Mobilization and Sensitization, CYMS. It's been a wonderful time having this talk with you.
It's a pleasure. All
right, so we've also been chatting with Kelechi Ugwumba. He is the Director of Contact and Mobilization at CYMS. And we'll go on this break, and when we come back, we'll be talking to Captain Ambassador Dabas Suleiman. He is the Ambassador General of PUAN, and we'll get to find out what exactly his stance are on this topic. I'll see you shortly. Don't move, also we'll be right back.
If I become a president today and I don't have a good number of senators from my own party or represent my idea or understands what I want to do, then my policies will not work, because they will frustrate those policies, because we've been seeing it. So it's not about who is the president. It must be about who is the president, who is my senator, who is my House of Rep, who is my governor, who is my local government chairman. These are the things that we're telling Nigerians. It's not about the president. The president will be overwhelmed if he does not have the support of the other structure of the democratic system. It will be he will be overwhelmed, and his policies might not pass through.
Welcome back. If you just joined us, this is The Conversation. We are reaching you from KAFTAN's television studio here in the nation's capital, Abuja. If you just joined us, you've missed out on the first segment of the show. But now we have our next guest, Captain Suleiman Dabas. He is the Ambassador General of the Polling Unit Ambassadors of Nigeria, and that's PUAN. We'll be talking about youth mobilization in electoral process and elections. You're welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
All right, now, so now let's start by getting your opening remark. Now, tell us, with the kind of surge that we see, with the new wave that we see, especially amongst Nigerian youth of voting age, more like a reawakening that we see in them with regards to politics, campaigns, election, and even the electioneering process in the country. Now, what do you make of this surge? Is it satisfactory enough for you, and what exactly would you tag as the reason for this new energy? Because some people have actually attached it to different political parties or different candidates, and then some people actually attached it to the NSOS, the aftermath of the NSOS movement, that's the Sorosuke movement. Now, what is it for you?
Well, thank you so much. You see, the youth surge is a good thing for our political system. And the reason for this, I think, is the failure of governance. The youth have been, several times, have been deceived, if I may use that word, when politicians will come and campaign and tell them all sorts of good things that they will do for them. And at the end of the day, no dividends of democracy. Just look at one of the examples is our students, the ASU strike that has lingered for too long. And I think the youths are beginning to see that it's now time for us to take our destiny into our hands. We need to participate in the electoral process. And it's not just about the candidate. Maybe a lot of people, like you said, will attach it to maybe the obedient and the rest of them. We also have people who are also attached to young men and young women. And also, yes. And of course, Atiku Abubakar and a lot of them. But the failure of governance is one major factor that the youth have seen and said, okay, we want to be part of this. And that is why you see this surge right now. And it's a good thing, because if the youth participate in the electoral process, I tell you, it will be better for them. And that is why we advise them to go out there, register, collect their PVC, and go out there to vote for the candidate of their choice. Because if they do that, they now know that they are part of the Nigerian project, owning the Nigerian project. And that gives them a sense of belonging. It's one thing to go out there and vote for the candidate of your choice. It's another thing for the candidate to do that which he said he's going to do. So we're going to hold them accountable this
time. So then at what point do you begin to decipher between the blueprints and the blueprints and the campaign promises?
Well, now Polling Unit Ambassador of Nigeria came up with a strategy. And I think that is what we're working on right now. It's not enough for us to give our votes to a candidate and then wait for the next 4 years. Now, the actual game starts after the candidate has won election. Not just the president, not just the senator, or the House of Rep member, or the governor. Everyone who has won election will need to be accountable to the people. So what we do is this. After you have won your election, you gave us the campaign promises and all of that. We'll call you to a town hall meeting so that you cannot present your stewardship to the people who have sent you out there to represent them. It's like, I have a son. I send him to school. And of course, after the term, he brings out his result, right? I check the result. If he has done very well, I clap for him. And if he has not, then of course there's a discipline to that if he has not done well. So it's something we send this politician out there. And of course, after a year or two, we call them to a town hall meeting. The reason why this Nigerian system has failed is because our people are not asking questions. Once we cast our votes to the elected leaders, once they come in there, we don't ask questions, we just let them be for the next 4 years.
How would you ask people who make themselves available? Because some of them, you begin to ask them to come, you invite them for debate, political debates, and then they just put you, ask you to go through their campaign managers and all. They're not ready to speak. Are you not going to ask people who are available?
We don't even want debates. We're not in school. We don't want debates. We want you to tell us what you want to do for the people. Because you know the truth about it is that people come and good English and all of that. We're not ready for that anymore. What we want the people to know is this. It's not about debates. It's about telling us what you want to do for this country. Take example, a senator. What are you going to do for my constituency? And how are you going to achieve that? Tell me, I want to see details, in details. How are you going to achieve that? Because you're not going to tell us that you're going to build hospitals, roads, and all. No, we're tired of that. We've been hearing this for too long. Now we want to give us facts. We want to tell us, I'm going to do this because I'm going to get this money available and I'm going to create this way, this avenue for money to come in, and we're going to do this and that. We want to see details right now. Because when you call people for debates, they come and speak English and all the big grammars and all of that. And that's all. And right now, we have a program coming up in this November this year where we are bringing all the presidential candidates first. Then go by the governors and all of that in each state. The presidential candidates in Abuja, the governors in their states, and senators alone in their states. We are telling you that come tell us what you want to do for us, for the people. And we're going to print this in different languages. Nigerians will have it in different languages. If you don't understand English, you understand Hausa. If you don't understand Hausa, you understand Yoruba. People will say the candidate A has said he's going to do A, B, C, D. They will understand it in their own language.
And so what happens afterwards?
Yeah, so that we can hold them accountable. Because if they understand, even my mother in the village who don't understand English, is able to understand it in the Indoma language that she understands. And reads it and understand it very well. She's not candidate A that she's going to vote for, is going to do this. So that when we call out for a town hall meeting, where we will bring this candidate to come before them to present their stewardship to the people, he won't be there to lie. And let me tell you, if the candidate knows that at the end of the day, that those people who are seated there are the ones who have PVC, who have the power to vote you or to remove you from governance, the candidate will beginning to, or the leader will beginning to listen to the people. The reason why they don't listen is because we have not mobilized those who have PVC in a community and say, these are the people who have PVC, who have the power to vote for you. Because once they see that, they get scared. And because Nigerian has not gotten to that level, and now we are bringing it on board, Nigerians will begin to ask questions. And I tell you, when Nigerians begin to ask questions, politicians will sit upright and do the right thing.
All right, now taking a cue from where you landed, you talked about how your mom or people in the grassroots can actually understand you write things in the language that they understand so that they can be able to hold these people accountable.
Sure.
Now, let's take it down straight to the ward level. A lot of people are, you see that a lot of people focus their attention and their energy in other things. You see how, you see the drive, the movement or the support for presidential candidates. A lot of people are interested in who becomes the next president come 2023 election. But people are not asking questions. Who are the right people I'm supposed to put into, elect as my national, as my chairman, local government chairman, as even the National Assembly representatives, because they are very important. These are the people that legislate what most of the things that that affects you. So now a lot of people don't know the importance of this, how you break these people down. They're only interested in the presidential candidates. So help us break it down into bits and pieces, because someone in the village would not come and ask, why is President XYZ not doing what he said he would do? You have to start with your local government chairman.
Good. That's a very good question. You see, we, Poly Unit Ambassador of Nigeria, identified the Nigerian political problems some years ago. And if we have the right people to put these plans into place, I tell you, Nigeria is going to be one of the best places to live. And Nigerian political democratic system will be envy for so many African countries. Now, just like you rightly said, first, we must change the narrative by saying we want a presidential candidate. A presidential candidate alone cannot achieve the numerous challenges that this country is facing today. Because if you are a presidential candidate, you need the support of the Senate, the reps, and so many other supports. And if I become a president today, and I don't have a good number of senators from my own party or represent my idea or understands what I want to do, then my policies will not work, because they will frustrate those policies, because we've been seeing it. So it's not about who is the president. It must be about who is the president, who is my senator, who is my House of Rep, who is my governor, who is my local government chairman. These are the things that we're telling Nigerians. It's not about the president. The president will be overwhelmed if he does not have the support of the other structure of the democratic system. He will be overwhelmed, and his policies might not pass through. So those who are clamoring for particular candidate should be aware right now that it's not just about the candidate himself. It's about who is our local government chairman, who is our senator, who is our member House of Rep, our governor. Collectively, they'll be able to bring that change, that desired change, that the dividends of democracy will get to my mother, or get to someone who is out there in Sokoto, or someone who is out there in Benue.
In a farm.
In a farm. Somebody who probably went out there, take time to queue under the rain, under the sun, to cast his vote, and believing that the person he's casting his vote for will help him at the end of the day to change the narrative. That person should be able to benefit from the dividends of democracy. Now, the second question. How will our people down there at the grassroots understand who to vote for? And that is why we take the first step. We said we're going to invite all of these presidential candidates at the national level, that's in Abuja. The states are state chapters. Today we have 32 state chapters inaugurated in PUAN, in the Polling Unit of Nigeria. We just have a few states left. So we have our structure not just in the state capital, down to the polling units, because we are monitoring this process at the polling unit. And that's why we're saying we're going to bring them, and the governors, the senators will go to tell us, it's not the debates, it's to tell us what you have for the people and how do you want to achieve these things for the people. And we will print them out in different languages for those who don't understand, and put it on the social media, on the print media. Let people hear these things so that we can hold you accountable. It's a promise that you've made to the people. And the people deserve to get the dividends of democracy. Let me tell you a particular scenario that we went to Gwagwalada to preach the gospel of PUAN. We call it the gospel of PUAN, good governance. It's possible, and we should not deny ourselves for that. And a woman about 60 years or so, stood up and said, I love what you've said. We love what you guys have said. You guys have done very well. You've spoken very well. But our question is this: how can I know the right candidate? And that's a very tough question for us. How do I know the right candidate? That's a woman who stays in a village there. She knows nothing. But how can she know the right candidate? And the response is that those people who represent us don't come from heaven. They live around us. We know them. Somebody who's going to be my senator, he stays in my senatorial zone. I know him. And I asked the woman, Mama, I know you are aged and you have a daughter that is probably
to
get married, you know. And she said, yes. I said, will you now say, because someone came to marry your daughter, and from this family we knew the people, because it's from our community. Even if it's not from our community, we always have the way to check people out, to know their backgrounds, family backgrounds and history and all of that. But let's say your community, and we know that this family has a bad history. And we know that any man who marry or woman who marry from such family suffered. Will you not say because the man came and gave you 5,000 naira or gave you a bag of rice, you will give your daughter to such man? She said, no. I said, until we change that narrative of seeing this PVC as our daughter and giving it to the right man. Until we change that narrative of saying, okay, the PVC has nothing to do, I'll just give it, collect 10,000 naira. No, that PVC is your life, is your daughter, that you're giving it to the wrong man. Because once you vote for him, he will neglect you because he has paid for it. So we told them to change that narrative and see that PVC as something that is very important.
And not some people seeing it as means to open
it's like a plastic card, just like no, it's not a plastic card. It's your life, the life of your children, the life of everything that you believe in, and the life of your daughter. Most importantly, it lives in that PVC. Give it to the right man, and I tell you, that right man will not fail you.
All right, now taking a cue from where you just landed, a lot of Nigerians have argued that some of those candidates, or some of these candidates that have who have emerged through the recruitment process, that's the primaries from various political parties, and then into different electoral positions, they have questionable characters with regards to accountability, corruption, and all. Now, I've seen some actors who have actually made statements that all have sinned, but some people's sin are darker than the others, and they just begin to wonder where exactly is that coming from. Now, so how do you mobilize and sensitize the youth and that demography or that group of people to properly engage their most preferred candidates so that they don't just vote based on sentiment, but based on transparency, accountability, and great track records of leadership?
You see, like I had an engagement with some youths, and I said, imagine I'm a pilot. Imagine you want to fly, and you were told that the man that is going to fly that aircraft is a madman. Will you want to fly such an aircraft? Of course no. The man that is going to lead us is going to be at the driving seat of the Nigerian project. If he's not a good driver, if he's a reckless driver, he will kill us all. And we must be very careful, whoever we put on that seat. The mistake we've been making before is that we don't care. We joined the bus and took money and joined that bus, knowing fully well that the driver of that bus is a madman. And he drove us into a ditch. And Winner says, when we died or when we get injured, we begin to complain. How do you complain?
We say, God will help us.
God will help us.
God
is not. God has given us everything. The engagement right now with the youth is to tell them that, look, we need to change this narrative. See, when all those candidates go out there and meet their godfathers, and I just laugh. When I sit, I just laugh. You see, you can meet everyone you want to meet, but remember that the man you're meeting there has only one vote. You have only one vote. The majority of the votes comes to the electorate. And the youths today, I'm so proud of them, that they have seen the reason to be part of this process. So the people will decide. It is not going to see one top man there, seek his blessing, go to the other side, seek that. Oh, you're wasting your time. And I tell INEC, I say, see, we need to restructure the system at the polling unit. Because we are down right there, we saw what was going on in these two past elections, Osun and Ekiti State. And thank God on Wednesday we were meeting the INEC chairman regarding to a review of what we've seen in Osun and Ekiti State. We're going to have that meeting on Wednesday. very soon, on Wednesday, 31st of this month. And we're going to tell the INEC chairman, we must change that QBQ, the position of the QBQ. If we have to get something that will cover the QBQ, that nobody sees what is happening in the QBQ. And of course, the ballot box, if we have to find a way to ensure that your movement from the QBQ to the ballot box is protected. Because right now the politicians have no any other way to rig election. The beavers has taken care of all of this. The only way they have right now is to buy votes. And buying these votes, they are telling those electorate that they intimidate them. Even when these people know that we don't want to vote for this particular candidate, but he has given us money and is threatening our lives. So we must tilt to his ideas. And these people have put talks around. So the truth about it is that we must find it. So, and that's what we're going to present to the INEC chairman and the commission on Wednesday 31st. That we must find a way to protect the integrity of the polls. If we must get it right, we must protect the integrity of the polls. We must ensure that at the QBQ, it is well protected. Sometimes when we get to the QBQ, when the election is going on, the way it's so positioned is exposing even the electorate, putting them at risk. And we go there and say, it can't work this way. We structure it. And the touts there will not want to. But of course, they have no choice. Because when we come in, we are policing the polling unit. That's what we do. Polling unit ambassador of Nigeria is policing the polling unit to ensure that things are done right and the credibility of that poll is maintained.
Okay, now let's talk about the observation process. Now, I know that as an election observant, that you must have taken note of all that transpired during the primaries, from the primaries down to the conduct of primaries, and then the campaigns rather, and then also the elections and all. Now, if you have to compare them with the recent and then the previous elections, how would you rate the activities of INEC? How would you rate the activities of the security officials and also the political parties as well as the electorate? Just help us to summarize all that you have seen, the result that you've gotten from consistent observations of all of these people, comparing it with the previous and then recent elections.
Now, let me start with the recent presidential primaries. Let me be channeled to that presidential primaries. It's a charade, especially the two political parties, where money is just. I see that and I weep for this country, where monies just keep flying around, and delegates, they call themselves delegates. Of course, we know that the name delegate is just for money. Go and collect money. That is what it is. Go and collect money, delegates. But it's a charade. That is not democracy. That is very painful for people like us. When I saw what was going on in both the PDP and the APC, when I saw what was going on, my heart wept for this country. It means that it's the highest bidder that takes it all, and that is not democracy.
All right.
But the truth is, the people will decide. And let me tell you that the people, the election process is fine. The people are beginning to understand that we need to participate in this process to make it better. The security agency, I must comment, they're doing their best. They are doing so much wonderfully well in the past elections. And I give them kudos to what they are doing. And I tell you, if we continue in that pace, we will get a better election in 2023. Oh, awesome. And I tell you, because what I saw with the security agency in the past two elections, honestly, is a good one. And I believe that it's going to give us a very good insight of what we expect in 2023. And I also want to talk about INEC. INEC is doing very well. INEC is doing its best. But let me tell you, politicians are very corny. And they are finding every means and every way to ensure that they discredit INEC. Let me tell you that the INEC chairman is a man I believe so much in. We have interaction with him. He's a man who wants to do things right. But I tell you, politicians will always come up with one corny way of doing things to ensure that they discredit or to cause confusion in the political system. But we're not allowed that happen. That will not happen. All right. So lastly, I also say that as we partner, the INEC partnering with EFCC and ICPC, PUAN, Polling Unit Ambassador of Nigeria, partnering with EFCC and IPC is something that we're going to use for the 2020 general elections, because this vote buying is going to be very prevalent in 2023 because the people are hungry And Nigerians, our elite, have orchestrated this hunger, man-made hunger, for them to be able to buy votes. But we are going to control it. And we're going to bring that discussion on the table with INEC and say that we must find a solution to protect the integrity of the polls and protect the secrecy of the voter.
Now, we have just few seconds, for a few minutes left, but I would like you to answer these two questions very quickly. Okay. Now, first, we have the reports coming saying that the RECs, some CSOs are saying that the RECs that are going to be coming in during the 2023 election, they have questionable character. Some of them are partisan, have partisanship, and then some of them are actually corrupt and all of that. So now they are asking that if INEC has to maintain their integrity, like they say, or they're independent, they call themselves independent, if they have to maintain that track record, that they must look into this case. So what are your thoughts on that? That's one on the side. And secondly, you talked about the youth. What should make an average Nigerian youth come out February and March 2023 to elect their most preferred candidate? What exactly is that reason why, against all odds, security-wise and all of that, why should I come out to elect someone?
Let me start with the second question. I'm very, very interested in who drives my vehicle. And I'm very interested in who drives the Nigerian project. You see the surge right now is not just man-made surge, is the interest of seeing what is going to be my participation as a Nigerian for a better governance in this country. So every youth knows that they will participate in February. You will see the turnout in February 2023 will be one of the greatest turnout we could have in the history of this country when it comes to election. Because Nigerians will want to make sure that their voice counts. So I know the youth will do that. Now, like you said, yes, some of them are partisan. But even when we see the independent National Electoral Commission as an independent body, we still have people who, there are elements altogether. So people who, their intention, because they are more tilted to a political party, a particular political party, who want to do things that will favor that political party.
Are you saying the body, the electoral umpire?
No, not the body, not the electoral umpire now. Okay. It's an individual because, of course, they are representing direct to different states and all of that. So it's not the empire, but human beings are different. And people tend to tilt to the other side.
So you have bad eggs inside this basket? Of
course, everything that we do, we still have bad eggs. But these bad eggs have been checked. They are being checked. And sometimes when we find out, you see what happens in Akwa Ibom State. Because it's a bad egg. Today, he's cooling somewhere. The law has taken its course. It's also a sign for every other person that thinks want to tilt towards that end. The law will always take its course.
So if you do the crime, you definitely do the time.
You do the time.
Thank you so much for your time with us, Captain Suleiman Dabas. It's always a pleasure having these talks with you.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, guests, viewers, that's where we end today's edition of The Conversation. We've been chatting with Captain Suleiman Dabas. He is the Ambassador General of Polling Units, Ambassadors of Nigeria, that's PUAN. And before now, we actually talked to Kelechi Ugwumba, who is the Director, Contact and Mobilization Committee on Youth and Mobilization and also Sensitization, that's CYMS. And it's been a wonderful time here on The Conversation. Keep watching The Conversation because you never know who my next guest will be and what my next topic will be all about. I'll see you again next time. From the nation's capital, Abuja, I am Annabelle Oji. God bless Nigeria.